What do you guys think about Toriyama outside of Dragon Ball, his history with games?
I love Chrono Trigger.
Who doesn't love Chrono Trigger? If you love Chrono Trigger, you will love a fight coming up in Dragon Ball Super. I know you haven't watched it yet, but he basically fights Robo. Flaming Robo.
I'm in.
It's pretty good.
So Chrono Trigger is an obvious one. Then the Dragon Quest series, Blue Dragon.
Yeah.
All those, yeah.
Toe Ball 1 and 2, if you want to
that's right, yeah.
PS1 fighting games, which is fun to look at if you've never seen ugly 3D PS1 Toriyama drawings.
The thing I learned recently with Dragon Quest, which I thought, like, he has worked on every one of those games, which is, like, crazy. I guess he just does character design, pretty much. And apparently the director of the games will sketch his ideas for characters and give them to him, and he basically redraws them for him.
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting. I just assumed that, like, he just got a paragraph of like, well, this guy's really heroic and wears a hat and sometimes he rides a horse.
Yeah. I should know this, but it's an interesting analogy or a correlation between Dragon Quest and that series moving on and Toriyama and then Final Fantasy and Amano, where I think they do give that paragraph to Amano and then he draws the rough sketch because it's just tradition.
So he gets
for
to
Final
start
Fantasy.
sort of from the beginning.
Yeah,
Toriyama
I think so.
has something to work with.
But it must be nice for Toriyama to have these side projects, like starting with Dragon Warrior, then obviously Dragon Quest, and even Blue Dragon, as strange as it is, which he once said, Blue Dragon will be a masterpiece, not simply because I'm working hard on it, but because the staff is expecting nothing less.
And we all remember that Blue Dragon anime.
I wanted to like everything involved with Blue Dragon.
Real quick, on the topic of Dragon Quest, we had a classic in the issue of Game Informer. Kim got to talk to the director of Dragon. It was about Dragon Quest 8 specifically, which I haven't played a ton of 8, but you can have like a full tension in that game where you basically like power up. And he was like explicitly like, oh yeah, Toriyama had been doing Super Saiyan stuff at the time, so we just wholesale took that. And it's like it really is, his hair spikes up when you're like full tension. Like there was no. They weren't beating around the bush anyway. They're like, oh, yeah, we liked how Super Saiyan looks, so we used it in Dragon Quest 8.
Even thinking about Dragon Quest 5, one of the things I love with Dragon Quest 5 is it tells the full story of this character's life, which kind of calls back to Dragon Ball in that way, of just a huge zooming out arc and whatnot. But it has to be interesting just thinking about Shueisha and, publishing the manga and stuff. It's like they own Dragon Ball, but Toriyama still works there. So I wonder if he's propelled to do these side projects just because he gets to have more of a cut. If it's like, hey, you want to hire Toriyama, let's get away from that Dragon Ball and that confusing license thing through Shueisha. Let's go straight to the top, baby.
Maybe. I don't know, maybe he just likes working on video games.
It could be.
Yeah.
There was I couldn't find the original reference and quote, but on Wikipedia it said at least that the Muscle Tower during the Red Ribbon Army storyline in Dragon Ball was inspired by Spartan X, in which enemies tended to appear very fast. In Spartan X, is it called Karate on NES? I think that's what it's called, right? Yeah, I guess so. Maybe he was a fan of playing games. Well, trust Wikipedia, please. Don't trust me at all. But Chrono Trigger, I think, is
a masterpiece.
Yeah, absolutely. Dragon Quest games, they have their fans. A lot of them are great. But I think from this fan base, Chrono Trigger is the way to go.
And I guess, do you think that was probably a similar thing, right? Like he just got brought on to do character designs. I don't think he was involved in story, really, just doing a lot of art and stuff.
A lot of art, and it's funny reading interviews with the other, Sakaguchi and the other creators involved with Chrono Trigger, because they said that he only drew the illustrations from the front. And so then everyone's like, well, this is a video game, dude. Like, we need the full model. So there's a lot of work to try and figure out, like, what does Chrono look like from the side, from the back? And let's see. So Terada, who worked on the graphics here, there's a quote from talking about the days of Chrono Trigger, and he says, also, I won't go into details here, but for Lavos' design, we argued a lot at Square about how Toriyama would have drawn it and how to capture his style. Toriyama would never draw something like that, and it got pretty heated. So I wonder if he just drew one quick sketch of Lavos, or if he had no connection to Lavos at the end of Chrono Trigger. Because it's a weird design.
Yeah, thinking on it now, like, it does not seem like a Toriyama inspired piece of art. Like I kind of think of it, and that's what I liked about Lavos, was he kind of seemed like there was everything that was kind of fun and Toriyama-esque about Chrono Trigger, but things got serious when it came to Lavos, and his design changed as a result. I wonder if that was the case. Maybe he just did the main cast and was like, all right,
just give him
a
list.
I mean, I think it works ultimately for that game, like you say, totally. Kyle, because it like Lavos is something otherworldly. So it makes sense for like something that's like that evil in that world to appear like nothing else.
They just forgot to send him that character. Oh, you should draw Lavos, or he just said like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah,
hard pass. Give him the volcano ears. Call it a day.
That's lava. Come on. We wanted to have Andy in on this podcast to tell a story about Toriyama, but he was out sick today, which is a real bummer. But apparently, back in the day, Game Informer was going to put Chrono Trigger on the cover. I think in that era it would have been like a review issue. And so they were going to have a full spread for Chrono Trigger, which would have been amazing. Custom art drawn by Toriyama. And Square was like, yep, we're good to go. Let's do it. And apparently they're like a week away from making this happen. And then they said, nah, we can't make it work with Toriyama. And Andy's like, why? What's going on over there? It's like, well, Toriyama doesn't want to do the cover art for Game Informer because his drawings are worth a lot and they'll go on the black market.
The issues of Game Informer.
I guess.
That's what we got from Japan, right?
Right.
And which was, by the way, was before our time for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Suriel was barely born. But still the idea of just thinking like, oh, I can't do art for a magazine cover because then people will sell it. And that black market price, that Diablo auction house will just skyrocket.
Doesn't affect Toriyama at all. But
yeah.
Okay.
And so they had to pull it. And then that's how Lunar ended up on the cover of Game Informer back in 95 or whenever that was.
I would have loved to see that cover.
Yeah, weird deal. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.